Okay, so it looks like the recording's launched. I'm going to close my window and hit the start button. You guys have fun. We're here to help you if you need us, okay?
Great, thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Melissa Quick, and for those of you who have attended the conference before, I'm the one who makes sure everybody gets fed and cocktailed up at the end of the conference. I'm so sorry that we won't be able to share drinks with you this year, but I promise you next year when we're all together again, we will for sure. I'd like to introduce to you Ian from Capricorn Gems. He was kind enough to dial in from Australia. I don't even know what time it is there, but it is definitely not Chicago time. Ian has a lot to share with us today, so I'm going to turn it over to him and let him jump right in. I'll monitor your questions in the chat room and post those to him at the end of the session. So, Ian, take it away.
Thanks, Melissa. Look, thanks very much for having us here today. Yes, it's 8:30 in the morning here, Tuesday morning. We're starting our day well and truly now on the Tuesday. So. Yeah, look, today I'd like to do a few things, more so not present gemstones as such, but more talk about what we've been doing in the last, 6 to 8 months, I guess, about what Capricorn Gems materials we've been cutting, bringing to the market, and I guess gearing up our sales and marketing during this COVID period. We've come to a realization that the online processes are here to stay, and then therefore we've geared up our website and our YouTube channel and our imagery, I think, to really accommodate the changes that are happening now in the wider world, and particularly in that whole aspect to do with marketing and sales of gemstones. So I want to talk a little bit about that. You'll see me glance over here from time to time. I've got another screen here that I've got preloaded some websites that I want to bring up and show you some of the imagery of what we've been doing. Just to give you a snapshot of some of these pieces. I will be showing a couple of lovely gems later on, but it's more so telling stories about what we've been doing first up. And then also towards the end of the presentation, I want to talk a little bit about the progress towards Provenance Proof. That's movement towards the tracking of the gemstone right from the source, the mine source, right through to the finished gem, and how designers can designers can then utilize the provenance information, if you like, and even build on that for their own design aspects and use that platform to I guess to add to their own marketing and promotion capabilities. So I want to talk a little bit about that, and then probably finish up with a brief chat about the Ethical Gem Suppliers Group. This is the group of people that hopefully you've been watching over the last 4 to 5 hours, presenting their wares, their goods, and their stories about what they've been doing as well. So the Ethical Gem Suppliers Group is a group of all of us that have come together in recent times. So we've been doing a few things behind the scenes, and we want to talk a little bit about that. So, look, let me launch further into the business of Capricorn Gems, and I'll go straight to the website because I want to talk a little bit about that. So let me get that screen up here. Here we go. Hopefully you can see that screen. Yes. Okay. So what we've got here is the Capricorn Gems website. We've really geared this up in recent months to be an online sales platform. This is the entry point into the site, and you'll see very clearly up front here in this part of the site where we're very much a wholesale site and a site aimed only for designer makers, and that every person that wants to access the shops must come through a verification process. So that verification process basically comes to me. Every application comes to me, and I seek verification. Now, if I know the person, I know a lot of designers, of course, well, it's pretty well much an automated process. But if we don't, we'll ask for credentials. We'll ask for a referral to the website or to their website or to their Instagram page. Basically, we want to be sure that the person that's accessing our shops is a bona fide designer and can buy at our wholesale prices. Capricorn Gems really isn't interested in selling to the retail market whatsoever. It's all about going directly to the designer makers and supporting designer makers across the globe, in every country, in any location, that want to access our 4 gemstones from central Queensland. So we go through this process fairly rigorously, and we then look at that each piece, and then basically the verification process then enables the person to access the shop. So briefly across the menu here, you've got a range of different drop-down tabs. First of all, probably in the most important gem for us is the sapphire tab, and you will see, goodness me, I think around about 20 different cuts of sapphire that we're doing now, and they're all listed essentially in their cut type. For example, we go to, say, a cushion cut sapphire, and we can then pull up each particular gemstone, and you can see the pictures of the gems here with the wholesale prices in US dollars. It's all set in US dollars for convenience, and of course the US is my main market, so that's where we do the business. And then basically going on to each particular gem, we can click on that gem and we can bring up more details about that gemstone. So essentially the characteristics of the stone, the dimensions of the gem, the weight of the gem, and the location of the gem. And you'll see on this particular gem right at the bottom, if you can see that, this particular stone is located in the US, so it's located in Denver. So we're actually building a stock base in the US as well now. Now, there's not many, but over time we will have a stock holding in the US, and that stock will be available to designers to consider. Obviously, it's much easier getting them into designers' hands in the US if they're based in the US than it is here from Australia. Having said that, though, getting from Australia is not a problem, and I'll talk about that shortly in terms of our shipping. A range of stock in the US that we will make available to designers on Mimo, should they wish to view them, and go from there. So what we've got essentially, as I say, is each particular gem pictured. We've got the details on the gems, and you can obviously do a sort by price, by most recently ad, etc., etc. So you can actually, at your own leisure as a designer, go through this site and decide on particular gems, cuts, shapes, sizes, etc. This is very much kept up to date by myself. I do all the website work, so I know about every gem that's on there, and I know that it's very current. So I'm updating this daily pretty well, and essentially we're getting new stock about every 2 weeks. So there's material, so you should, if you're interested, take a view from the site on a regular basis if you're looking for gems. Now, so this applies with pretty well every cut. So we've got a whole range of different sapphires there. We have zircons, chrysoprase, and boulder opal. So they're the 4 shops that are on the website, these 4 up the top. And then further across the menu, we've got information about each of the particular gemstones. We've got a tab here on some of the jewelry that's made by the gems. So some of our designers' works we've put up here over the time. And then in the far one, we've got literature and videos. We've got some information about the material that we've been accumulating in terms of our booklets. We do a designer's booklet every year where we feature selected designers' works, and that comes up. You can download that, or you can view it within the website, or you can go to the Simple Booklet website and it'll come up all right. It's a bit slow on this particular feed here, but you get the idea. So we've got what we think very comprehensive site. Now, in terms of buying or shipping gems, well, let's just talk about the purchase process. So you don't have to actually buy online. I mean, you can email me, you can WhatsApp me, In fact, many people are not quite sure about the gem that they're looking at, and they want more images of it, or they want comparisons, or they want to see various options of various gems. So I'm quite happy to provide that service over and above the website. So it's not just a website that you go to and that you make a choice to buy. It's actually an interactive process, and we understand that interactive process is very important for designers to be clear about the particular gems that they may be searching for. So that is very much part of what the service we operate as part of the design. Designers works, and we continue to do that on a daily basis. Essentially, sending information out to designers. So shipping is fairly straightforward. We have choices of shipping, DHL or Australia Post International, depending on the timelines, costs. I mean, all of that sort of stuff. I can give that information to people interested in buying. When you come to that buying decision, but it's very straightforward. And as I said, we're keeping some material in the EU anyway now to be able to supply that market. So if you want, take your time, have a look at the various types of sapphires, the various types of zircons, chrysoprase, and boulder opal. I think at the last count, we've really got about 1,100 gemstones on this site now. So there's a large number of gems online able to be accessed. And okay, so that's a little bit about the website. Now, I want to know over to a good old favourite here, which is Instagram. And people will know that I use Instagram a lot because that's my major connection point with designers and others. And we're posting all the time various images of gems, works of some of the designers that we share that have made gems from our pieces. We share those to the community. So it becomes pretty well much the initial point of contact with everybody. And then from the Instagram, of course, feeds back out into the website and into various other aspects of our promotion and marketing works. So there's a lot to see on the Instagram feed. Goes through a whole different range of products. I don't quote prices on Instagram, but I make it easy for people to come back to me, message me, contact me, and talk about the particular piece. So the other thing that we've been doing in the last period of time is building up a photo library of our works, but not just our works, but also our sourcing and production processes and methods. And this library is available to any designer who wishes to have it. I can email all of these images under an album, and you can select out whichever image you wish or images you wish and utilize them in your own marketing and promotion with your own clients. So we're more than happy to share those. We're continually bringing new images into that library. You see here, we've got a number of different new cuts. We've got these flat sapphires here. We've got some lovely crystals, really quite different gems that you would find than you would find in most other places. So we're continually, researching, getting feedback from yourselves as designers. We've been cutting some new hex-shaped sapphires and also some what we're calling elongated hex sapphires. So we're listening to what the designer market is telling us and saying, can you cut this? Can you cut that? And in most cases, yes, we can. So my business partner, Rod, you'll hear me talking about Rod quite a bit. Rod's always experimenting with cuts. He is a master faceter. He's had 40 odd years in the business, right from sourcing right through to cutting. So he is experimenting all the time and looking at different. There's Rod there. There's an image of him coming up shortly. You'll see here him looking at some sapphires here out of the mines, doing some buying. So Rod's always out there having a look around, and seeing what's going on, speaking to all of his friends. He's been in the business, as I say, 40 odd years, so he has a good understanding, some great contacts. So Rod does basically all the sourcing. Rod does all the buying and also all the preforming of the sapphires, and pretty well much all the cutting of the boulder opal. The sapphires are preformed, all around about any of the larger ones are around about the 1.2 carat upwards. All the smaller material is just cut as calibrated sizes, but all the larger pieces are preformed, because with sapphire, particularly Australian sapphire, you have to get the right orientation to actually reveal the best color in the gem. So Rod has that great experience and can do that, and can supply us with a whole lot of preforms, which we then get finished cutting and polished in our ties partners factory. We send them up and then get them returned back to us here in Australia. So that's really a bit of a summary of the process of the cutting, the procurement and the cutting, and final polishing, and then of course comes to me to do the marketing and the sales in various, wherever, US, UK, Australia. So these images are available to anybody, and more than happy to send those on. Now, the other thing that we're doing a fair amount of work with is a YouTube channel, and now I've just brought it up here so you can have a look at that. The link to the YouTube channel is in the website. It's in a number of different areas. Basically, a collection of videos that videos we've put together in the last 2 years, I suppose. So we've built up a fair repertoire of videos about Capricorn Gems, about the process of mining, the process of buying, of cutting, and a little bit about the history of the gem fields. And you can see along this list here. I'm just going along this Central Queensland sapphires list here. So we've got, I think, around about 12 or 13 different videos here. We've got a very long one at the beginning. We've just done this one. It's a 33-minute video. It's quite a long one, but it's myself and Rod just talking about the sapphires, the background, the cutting. It's a fairly extensive video, but most of them are around about the 5 or 6 minutes, not too long. There's another one here of Rod faceting, cutting, showing you the faceting process. So there's, again, a lot of information here, and imagery and stories about the processes of production, cutting, and final finishing of our gems. And we separate these into sapphires, opals, and we've got a couple of chrysoprase ones here. So essentially we've separated them on the particular gemstone type. So there's a few interesting ones there, and I'd recommend that you have a look at those. And again, if you want copies of them, I can send you the links, no problems at all, and the like. So the point I'm getting to in terms of what our role is as Capricorn Gems, yes, it's our role to sell gemstones, for sure. We're in the business of selling gems, but we're also in the business of supporting you as designers to better represent the product, have a greater knowledge about the product, and help you sell your product to your clients. So it's very much a partnership approach. So that partnership really starts right back at the get-go, from when we begin the process of actually sourcing the gemstones, where we source them from, how we source them, right through to the cutting process, and on to final finishing and marketing. So whenever, in any possible way that we can help you do your job better, to talk to your clients about the gemstone that's being set in their piece, we want to be able to help you with that. So this is a very much a partnership approach, compared to probably the more traditional approach that most previous gemstone suppliers, vendors historically have had in this business, where essentially it's sell the gem and don't know much about the story and move on, sort of thing. So with very much a partnership approach and about the gemstones. So the other thing, of course, is that from time to time we do get pieces that don't meet quality expectations. They do slip through the net, but it's a very rare occurrence. On occasion, some pieces aren't either A, cut properly or polished, or maybe they have an inclusion in there that's not quite suitable. We're very happy to take those gems back. It's not in our interest to say no. It's in our interest to say, fine, it doesn't suit you, doesn't suit your client. There is no point in pursuing that. So there is no question about the return of the gem. If it's a legitimate reason, obviously, in terms of the quality as far as you're concerned, and we'll replace that or credit it or whatever we need to do. So again, it's not a situation of a zero-sum game. It's a situation where we're saying we want to support you in your business to better help you to undertake your role as a designer. So moving on now, gee, we've only got 10 minutes left. This time does fly, doesn't it? Let's move on a little bit to the Provenance Proof situation. I want to bring up an image here now about what we're doing with some of these pieces in terms of traceability and provenance. So here you've got an example of what we're doing in terms of identifying the material right from the rough piece of sapphire right through to the final cut gem. So this is a small parcel of seven stones, and this parcel we had done about 6 months ago, and I posted and a marvelous response from people saying, well, we've never really seen anything like that before. Well, this is what we're doing now. We're identifying the piece right from the get-go. When we get the rough, photographing it, dimensioning it, weighing it, and then moving it right through the process. So this is really interesting stuff. And we're building a base of gemstones in this space. Now, if you look at the website, you will see there is a section on provenance proof sapphires. So not every sapphire has this full provenance in terms of this detail, but we've decided to do this with a number just to test this out. So you will see the full provenance tab in the website, and each of those gems, you can come back to me and say, hey, Ian, can I get the images of the rough, of the preform, the size, dimensions? You know, my client's interested in that. No problem at all. So what we're doing with this now is moving ahead and working with, Provenance Proof, the Provenance Proof platform from Everledger and the Googlin, and I've just brought up their website here. This is basically the entry point to it. So essentially, I know Moyo is working with this as well. So what we want to do is actually essentially place our Provenance Proof gemstones on this platform, and we are starting to do that so that it has a blockchain process underpinning the pathway of the gem. Now, this is still being developed, and there's still a lot of things to develop within this platform in terms more so of the marketing and promotion and access by designers. But I'm told by the Everledger team that in 6 months' time they'll have a better accessible site so that designers can come onto the site and look through the site and maybe select gems with that full provenance story behind them that's underpinned with the whole Provenance Proof blockchain technologies. So I just wanted to make a little bit of a mention about that coming up soon. Keep your eye on that, and I think it's again in the interests of our community, yourselves as designer makers, to consider this movement, because this is the direction, this is the future of gem sales, purchase, and marketing, and also representing your pieces to your clients as well. So essentially, your client will be able to look on their smartphone at their piece, do a few swipes, and go right back to where the gem came from, and see the whole story of the gem. So this is the concept, and essentially you can add that into your marketing repertoire to help you, tell the story about that particular gemstone. So look, there's a couple more things I want to do before we finish up. We've got about 6 minutes. I want to talk a little bit about the Ethical Suppliers Group, and I'm bringing up the website here. So each of the presenters here today is a member of the Ethical Gemstone Suppliers Group. So what we've done is developed a website. It's pretty rudimentary at the present point, but it is a website of an entry point into our group. Talks a little bit about what our aspirations and views are, and what our intentions are, I guess. But probably more importantly at this time, it also provides a series of links back into each of our websites and contact points accordingly. So you will see this page here on the website, and it'll, as I say, direct you back into each of our own websites. So we're hoping to build this up over time and introduce more suppliers, and that's our intention. We're putting criteria together to actually do that. So we hope to have that continue. We hope to see that continue to grow over the next period of time. And again, one of the other things we've done on the piece is we've got a news and events page. It doesn't have a lot on the moment. We just haven't had any events. I mean, our UK fairs were cancelled, and of course, not sure yet about Tucson next year. So we're still under discussion with regard to whether or not we're going to hold an event next January, in Tucson. There'll be more information about that in the next few weeks. So if you want to keep abreast of what's happening within our group, just drop into that website from time to time and have a look about the story about what we're up to. So before we finish up, I'll just come back and we'll come back to me if I can. How do I do that? Okay, I'm just trying to come back to me. Here we go.
Here you go. So
back to me.
We have a few more minutes. I have a question for you. Can you just talk us through really quickly? I'm assuming that you're working mostly with artisanal miners. What's that process like for you? How are you connecting with these miners? Are you doing site visits to see that the conditions there are great, they're being fed, they're being educated, housed, those sorts of things? Can you just touch on that a little bit? Because I know that you just got back from a trip to the bush, and I assume that's what you were doing.
Yeah, look, exactly, Melissa. Fortunately, we live in a Western country in Australia. I mean, we do have a rule of law here. We have rules and regulations with regard to everything pretty well, and including the whole mining and processing situation. So we have a government department that controls the mining and extraction industries in our state. So that government department sets a whole set of rules, procedures, regulations with regard to everything to do with mining. Now, overarching all of that, we have labour laws, we have workplace health and safety laws, and a whole set of regulations that ensure compliance with best practice and ensure that, I guess, those sorts of activities, as you mentioned, just don't happen anyway. They just don't happen because it's part of our nature of our country. Fortunately, we are a Western country. We do have high standards of living, and then therefore high expectations in terms of those things of everybody. But in terms of the processes of where we and how we interact, we're always interacting directly with our mining friends, both in the sapphire and the opal space. And we're always, and yes, we go out to the mine areas on a regular basis. Just been out recently. It's about a 5-hour trip from where I live to actually get to the sapphire fields. We can actually do it in a day if we've got a program lined up, but mostly we stay overnight. But of course, if we go further out to the opal fields, it's generally for a week because of the distances involved. So what we're doing when we're out there, we're talking to miners about what they're doing in terms of extraction and how their compliance activities are now being undertaken. And probably the most important thing from their point of view now is actually reclamation of mine sites and ensuring that when they mine the area that they're putting it back in the best possible condition that they possibly can, to allow for the grasses and the trees to regrow over that mined area. I mean, these guys are using machinery, and it's not hand mining, and it's all machinery mining, excavators, trucks, dozers, and it's fairly large scale operation. So, you know, they're doing it on a so-called industrial scale, large scale. So they're really, the biggest thing is actually damage to the environment for them to be concerned about. So we're always ensuring that they're telling the story to us of what they're doing in terms of reclaiming that land. And the government inspectors have to go and inspect that to make sure it's done as well.
Thank you. So it looks like we've hit the end of our time. And I want to thank Ian so much for waking up early to join us. The sun's setting here in Chicago and rising there. I love that. He has a couple stones he's going to show us quickly, but Andrea did warn me ahead of time that at 5:02 we cut off whether we want to or not.
Yes, look, I can't go past without showing a couple of beauties. These are about 8-carat sapphires. A lovely yellow-green oval there, and a teal cushion cut beauty here as well. These are pretty special gems. So yeah, we do get some big ones, but you know, the main business is something that fits into a ring, something that fits into a pendant, and that's
Fantastic.
what we do.
Andrea, do you want to hop on really fast and tell everybody about the session you and Susan have coming up in 15 minutes? I think you're doing a day of recap for the day.
Yeah, we just added a quick, thank you so much, Ian. That was great. It's not me, by the way, that cuts the session off. It just cuts us off. Susan and I added a quick 15-minute session today in 15 minutes. Just kind of recap today and talk about things that are happening tomorrow. So you can register for the session right on the 2020.crjc.info website. No, I said that backwards. No, I said that right.
It has been a long week for sure. Thanks, everybody. I'm wearing my shirt and I'm missing you all. I wish we were sharing cocktails this week, but it's good to see everybody's faces virtually.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ian. Thank you, Melissa, very much.
Thanks, Andrea. Thanks, Melissa. Excellent.
Bye.